is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Good morning and welcome to a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Happy Good Friday to everyone. Hope y'all have a great Easter weekend. We will have JC here momentarily and Kevin Brockway give us his thoughts on a lot of Gator sports and also March Madness. If you missed it last night, Wyatt Langford gets his first RBI, first base hit last night. It was an infield hit, by the way. So congratulations to him and the world champs. They win over the Cubs. Softball. I was watching the game, watching basketball. They were up 12-6. And I turned it off, went back to basketball, and then I saw we lost. So that's not a normal thing for us. So they'll bounce back in the next couple of days there in Stark Vegas. JC, good morning. You're on the excuse me, it's Big Al. Big Al's on the show.
Well, look, man, what a night for those of
that
Alabama.
Stayed up and watched it. And watched it.
I tried these idiots, these flaming idiots start these games at 10 o'clock at night. I mean, it's the dumbest
thing. But
JC,
a true fan does not.
I don't want to hear from you.
You should have drank a Coke or a Red Bull.
I tried, dude. I tried after the second half. Next thing you know, I opened my eyes and there's an infomercial on TV. I missed it all. And it's just very upsetting that you'd have to actually stay up until midnight to watch basketball. I don't know. But anyway, it was a good night for Alabama. You know, they win and beat North Carolina, shocked the world out in Los Angeles. Then the baseball team beat South Carolina 4-3 in Tuscaloosa. All around great night for them. They now play the Clemson Tigers, who are shocking the world as well. The Clemson Tigers and Alabama playing to win the West Regional is not something anybody had in their bracket, including
not
myself.
Even you. Not even you. You didn't pick your own school.
Dude, these guys, Carolina shot 25% in the second half. Somehow Alabama has found defense in this tournament, and their great R.J. Davis, I think, was 0 of 9 for three-point land and couldn't throw it in the Pacific Ocean. And they put the clamps on him, and he's their best. He was one of the best players in the NCAA tournament as a guard for North Carolina. The Tar Heels in their legendary status, I don't know, 6 national titles, whatever, they get to watch on television now. So I think it's shocking. We got Tennessee tonight. I like their chances, and I think against Creighton. And right now, I think you'd have to say Houston and Duke is going to be a thrilling game to watch as well. So it's great, but some idiot decided to let's put these games on at midnight so that nobody can watch them on the East Coast. That's all I got to say. And by the way, the Yale Bulldogs still beat Auburn. So I just wanted to let you guys know that nobody's forgotten the way Auburn chokes in everything. They're the worst team on New Year's Day in football because they never win. They've never won anything. Losing record in football. Choke in basketball, and their baseball team, I don't think, has won a game yet in the SEC. Maybe they have, but they're like 1-9. So go Auburn. But anyway, I'm excited about this basketball. I've got to be honest. This is the only second time in the school's history that they've made it this far. Only the second time. So, it's all downhill from here, baby. I can't believe they won. I just can't believe they beat North Carolina.
It's truly amazing, and this is how college sports basically is now.
All right,
JC, do you know where your 4 top scorers from Alabama played basketball in the last year?
Well, Grant Nelson went to North Dakota.
Okay, North Dakota State.
Was it North Dakota State? Okay, and
Estrada. Do you know where Estrada played his ball at? Hofstra.
Flying Dutchman.
Do you know where Mark Sears played his basketball?
Mark Sears. Now, he played with them last year. He played
right, but I'm saying where he came before that.
No, I don't.
Ohio. He was a Bobcat. Ohio Bobcat.
Cool.
And then there's one kid, I can't remember who it is, from St. Peter's. I mean,
Okay,
think
well,
about that. Look,
give it
Nate Oates has done it. You know what's fascinating to me? And JC, you probably don't know this.
No, probably don't.
Do you know when you look at a shot chart for Alabama, where all their shots are made for the most part?
I'm gonna guess they're made from outside three. Well, many are made.
Well, they're either 3-point shots or they're layups within 3 to 4 feet of the basket.
Okay.
If you watch Alabama play, I think the only player that is allowed to take a mid-range jumper is the Estrada kid because he's very good at it. Yeah. Nobody else, they can drive and be wide open from 6 to 8 feet.
Yeah.
They will not shoot it. They're going to pass it out. It's really fascinating to me.
Well, they found they did a nice play last night where Sears hit Nelson underneath the basket for a 3-point play. I just watched the highlights, dude, because because
you're not a true fan.
No, because I can't stay up at midnight. It's unbelievable. You make me wake up so early for this podcast, and then I'm half dead. But I think Saturday night we get to at least watch it at 8:00. I mean, it's not like you have to change your entire sleep pattern to watch these damn things. I just don't understand the rationale behind it. But television does control this, and I get that. But I don't know why they can't put it on. Last time I checked, CBS is running 24/7. So at any rate, it's exciting for look, man, who the hell saw this coming? So if you like the SEC, don't hate on them. Root for them. Who the hell cares about Clemson? And let's see if they can make the Final Four where they get to play UConn. But, whatever. Who cares at that point? You make it, you make it. And Illinois is going to give
good. Illinois is going to give UConn all they want.
They're going to give them a good game. It's about damn time. UConn has been playing nobody. And finally, UConn is going to see a challenge because Illinois really impressed me with their athleticism last night and holding on to beat Iowa State. They'll have fans there. It'll be great atmosphere, great environment. I just don't. I mean, you've got two teams from the Southeast playing in Los Angeles, and I'll guarantee you, there might be about 500 people in the entire building who care, because in Los Angeles, I'll guarantee you that the bulk of the population out there doesn't even know Alabama is playing Clemson. They have no idea. They're just wondering when the Lakers are going to choke it again this year in basketball. That's all they're thinking about out there. But, hey, that's what the NCAA did. They stuck them out in Los Angeles. Ridiculous. But whatever. We'll play out there. We played the Rose Bowl out there this year.
Yeah, so we got a great football matchup out there in L.A.
Yeah.
Clemson, Alabama.
Yeah, that's right. That's what
we got a text here on the Titan the Mark text line from Jonathan. He says, QB, do we have any concerns about the softball team?
No.
Jonathan, thanks for the text. You have zero concerns about the softball team. These things happen.
Now, have they played 1 or 2 games, QB, against State?
That was the opener. That was the opener.
So, yeah, that was a kind of a fluke.
I mean, they're 29. They're 29-5.
Yeah.
They've played. Here's what you can always bank on with the Tim Walton team.
Yeah.
They're going to, they're pitching. They didn't pitch great yesterday, but his philosophy is we're going to pitch well. And we're going to play damn good defense. Well, the bottom of the 6th inning was a disaster. Okay. That is not going to happen again. Trust me.
But what I think is important is if you're going to beat Oklahoma, you must score.
JC, nobody's talking about beating Oklahoma right now.
Look, dude, I get that. But let's just try to think a little bit down the road just for 1 minute. Softball is great. You can go through the season. Everybody knows what it's all going to come down to. And for me, I don't care. I know they're going to beat Tennessee. They're going to beat Kentucky. They're going to play these games. They're going to beat South Carolina. Everything's great. The season's going to be what it is. They're going to go to the tournament, blah, 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 blah. If you're going to win the national title, you have to beat Oklahoma. And the fact of the matter is that the only way I see a team like this beating Oklahoma is by outscoring them. And so if you can hit the softball and you can hit it over the fence, you have a chance. That's the only way you can win a college softball World Series, in my opinion, when you've got a dynasty sitting over there in Norman, Oklahoma.
You know who the highest ranked SEC team is right now, JC, in softball?
Who's that?
I'm asking you.
I don't care.
I think it's
Oklahoma.
Georgia.
That's great. I still got my money on Oklahoma.
I didn't say anything about winning the national title. We're talking SEC play right now.
Okay.
Jesus.
It's all preliminary. It's all great.
Well, if you don't play well, if you don't win enough games in the SEC, you're not going to get to a regional to have an opportunity to go to OKC.
We all know they're going to win enough games in the SEC. We all know they're good enough. We all know they're going to.
I'm not saying that. I'm trying to make a point here. The point is, you will not see another inning like the bottom of the sixth again. That was just a freak thing. All right. Reggie wants to know what's in your cup, JC.
We've got the red to go with red, the strawberry. This is the Coupang strawberry kiwi. The Coupang strawberry kiwi, my man Reggie. So, hey, let's get excited. SEC's alive. SEC's alive in basketball, baby. How about the Tigers?
Irby on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, good morning, guys. All right, quit your rambling. I'm trying to read this. He said, I scored 2 tickets to Thursday's round at Augusta. I'm pumped, hoping my boy Ricky can shock the world and finally get a major. Any advice for a first-time patron? I will tell you this. Take some good pain medicine before you walk that golf course. Pop some pills. And make sure you get you a pimento cheese sandwich. And walk the entire golf course. It's the prettiest place on earth.
And really, you do want to see the front nine. I mean, back in the day, they only showed the back nine on TV, but you got to go check out that front nine. When you walk in, the first thing you're going to notice is how big of a dip number one is and how steep the hill is up to the green on number one. It blows your mind.
That's why you have to take pain pills.
It's going to be great.
Brandon says, go to the merchandise shop first and then walk the course. Yeah, you'll spend a lot of money in there.
Yeah,
trust me.
Eight is a cool hole too. It just goes straight up the hill. You can't even see the green from where you're teeing it off of. It's probably one of the most gorgeous places you'll ever walk on the face of the earth. Along with
live a healthier lifestyle with our bold, flavorful smoothies and our amazing food. Tropical smoothie. When you eat better, you feel better. We got JC on the Titan Roll Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. This is a text from the 941. He says he's a Peachland Dental supporter.
Yeah.
He says, thoughts on all the guys this staff seems to always have in no-contact jerseys, injury. I keep reading fans worried about guys that always seem to be never practicing. Well, the guys pretty much the guys that are in the no-contact are coming off serious injuries that, they can't practice. Thoughts on Billy limiting media access to basically stretching or spring practice? They've been doing that for years, not just Billy, but every coach. Why so secretive? 9 minutes ain't much for the media, or essentially closed practice. Nobody closed practices back in those days, so you can't compare the eras. You can't go to an Alabama practice. You can't go to an Ole Miss practice. They open it up for about 10 minutes, one period, for the media to go in there and do quick videos that they can put on Twitter. So that's not just a Florida thing. That's a every school team. One more, kudos to Sully for making a pitching change starting Neely. Yeah, so Brandon Neely will be the Friday night starter, and not a huge surprise there. Now,
Good Friday.
He gets it done. He hasn't started a game in a long time, so we'll go from that.
It's Good Friday. It's Easter weekend.
Yeah,
and it's good. Everything is good. Mississippi State, pretty good baseball team. What's their record, QB? You know what they are?
I don't know. Okay. If we should sweep them in my. They know. Here's what's interesting about Mississippi State. I do know this, JC. Saturday night, their starting pitcher is ambidextrous.
Oh, wow.
He throws over 90 miles an hour with both arms.
Really?
And he has a glove. He has a glove that he can switch each hand. So he actually, when a right-hander comes up, he can go right-handed. When a left-hander goes up, he can go left-handed. I don't know if I've ever seen or heard of that.
You have
at this level.
You have not, and I know I haven't, and that is really. I would really love to watch that. I'd love to watch it. By the way, speaking of baseball, opening day yesterday, QB, my Yankees come back against the hated Houston Astros, down 4-0 to win. That was exciting. The Dodgers blow out the Cardinals. Ohtani, all this talk about gambling and everything kind of takes a side. It's the steps to the side there, and we play baseball. And opening day, it's now we have 162 or some odd games to wait until baseball matters to me. So
Yeah.
I hope that the Yankees have a better season. I think they will. Soto played well last night, yesterday for them, throwing out a runner at the ninth inning at the plate. I think he'll definitely help them, and he'll hit a lot of home runs in that short porch in right field for the Yankees.
Justin wants to know my thoughts on the new NFL kickoff rule. Do you think it makes its way to college football? It's a 1-year trial. It's going to make people return the football with not great blocking. So you'll have worse field position starting most series. But it's something new. I have no problem with it. Conyer Ron on YouTube says, big upsets last night. Who picked Bama and Clemson to advance?
Nobody.
Neither one of us did.
Nobody.
I did have Illinois and UConn advancing. So
and you beat me on that one. I had Iowa State. I've got Tennessee losing to Purdue in that region, and I've got the Houston Cougs, the Cougars playing in out of their South regional. Chris DeMarco, did you hear what your boy Chris DeMarco said? He's a 3-time PGA Tour winner.
Yeah, people are raising hell about his comments.
He is absolutely getting just blasted. He goes, let's play for a little real money out here. I mean, this is kind of a joke when we're getting $2 million.
Well,
what an ass. He goes, there were like 7 guys last week from TPC at the $25 million Players Championship that made more money than our purses. I mean, this guy, please. And then he comes off and he talks about, I saw Graham McDowell. Now, this is important. Listen to this, QB. And this goes back to what you and I talked about when we talked about this PGA and Live thing. I saw Graham McDowell, the old Memorial Pro member, and he says, listen, I went up to Jay Monahan, the PGA Tour commissioner, and I said, I love the PGA Tour, Jay, but I'm struggling to keep my card, and these guys are offering me all this money. The point is that the PGA Tour is the better tour with the better players. And Graham McDowell had to go play in the minor leagues and get paid to do it by the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund. So that tells you all you need to know right there. The PGA Tour has the best players in golf. The Live Tour is an exhibition with a lot of money being thrown around. That's all it is.
Yeah. So back to DeMarco. I like Chris a lot, but look, the Champions Tour.
I like him too, but
it's a 3-day event.
$2 million. We're only
they don't have cuts. It's basically their retirement. I mean, they already have a ton of money in retirement.
Who funds that? They wouldn't even have that. That's not even self-supporting. And he's talking about we only play for $2 million. Come on, Chris, have a little.
Right, because when I was in the NFL, they used to have a thing with the senior tour. NFL players would play with the senior tours up in the Upper Montclair Country Club in New Jersey. Right. All our winnings would go to whatever our designated charity that we had at that time. And we were paired with a PGA event. We had a cut every day. And it was the most fun I've ever had playing. I used to live and look forward to that tournament every freaking year. And it was a 3-day event.
Yeah.
We stayed, most of those senior players stayed in the same hotel. They had a hospitality room where we all hung out. But these guys had already made all their money.
I know.
It was like a hobby to them.
I got a suggestion. Hey, Chris. If you want to play for $2 million, go to the bank and put it up yourself. How about we get all these?
Well, no, all Chris has to do. Chris could still play on the regular tour.
I just can't believe he said that.
Qualify.
In today's day and age, with the way the world is, you just don't sound like that. That's bad awareness. How about, and then they're raising hell up in Missouri. The beat writer for the University of Missouri's football team is writing a column about how the 2025 Missouri Tiger schedule came out. Listen to these non-conference games: Louisiana, Massachusetts, and Miami of Ohio. They're sick of it. They want 9 games. 9 games.
Well, be careful the Raging Cajuns, though.
Well, yeah, but QB, the point is that if you have 9 games, which I think they will in 2026, but at least with 9 games, you will get to play everybody in the conference on a home-and-home basis at least one time. And right now, when you only have 8 games in the SEC, you don't really have a conference. You have an association with a lot of people that have the same similarities. That's not a conference. Georgia has not played in College Station in over 4. They've never played in College Station.
Yeah, I don't know what you were going to say. They've never gone there. However, I think Tennessee's at non-conference is pretty bad as well. Here's the thing. That has nothing to do with the SEC. That is a university of, are they University of Missouri or Missouri University? They're University of Missouri.
Yes.
But they go by MU. Those schools out there make no freaking sense.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah. Just like KU and OU,
Yeah.
they're University of, but they go by the other way. It's stupid. Where was I going with this? It's their athletic department's decision of who they play. This has nothing to do with the SEC.
Well, but the SEC has everything to do with these 8-game schedules that they decided on for the next 2 years, and folks just think it's trash. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, you can't say that about ours.
No, you cannot. True.
Yeah.
Florida.
So my point is, regardless of who they're playing in the Southeastern Conference, that is set by the league. Their athletic department chose those out-of-conference games. That's their problem. So if you want to have a hard-ass schedule like we do, then schedule freaking Utah and whoever else.
Well, hey, listen, QB, I'm going to Madison, Wisconsin in September to watch Alabama. I'm going to Tallahassee in 2025 to watch Alabama play the Florida State Seminoles to open the season. I get it. I'm with you. But we've got to have 9 games in the league. And I think they will in 2026. I really do.
John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, I heard Trey Wilson on a podcast say they were looking forward to the schedule. Yeah, any athlete doesn't worry about their schedule. Doesn't matter if they were playing the Green Bay Packers. They're going to try to win the football game.
Well, I mean, yeah. If Alabama, didn't think they could beat North Carolina, they shouldn't have gone to LA last night, right?
Yeah.
And same thing for the Clemson Tigers. Clemson Tigers.
How about the Clemson Tigers, though? Think about it. I think they were like 6th or 7th in the ACC.
Yeah, it's a great. Well, I would say right now they're the Cinderella story. I mean,
well, if NC State wins, NC State
they
wins.
Are the Cinderella story
because they were when the season ended, they were the 11th. They were the 11th seeded team in their conference
in their tournament. Yes, and losers of 4 straight games. Going into the
ACC. So that's how basketball is. All right, JC, let's get to this day. Let's get to this day in sports real quick. Brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life at Campus USA Credit Union. In 1999, Connecticut beats Duke for their first national championship.
1999?
That's what it says. But did they win one before that?
I thought Jim Calhoun won one before that, yeah. But
I do too.
Go with what you read there.
Well, I mean, I don't make this stuff up, but I thought they won one with like the early 90s.
All right, QB, listen, we went on our picks. I don't think did I take North Carolina to beat my team by more than 4? I don't know. But I took
North Carolina.
I missed laying the 4.5. Probably did.
Mm-hmm.
I missed Iowa State. I mean, it's unbelievable where they found this defense. Clemson and Alabama are playing great defense in basketball. That's why they're winning. We both had UConn. I had UConn to cover. And I think I took Clemson plus the 7.5. Pretty sure about that. So tonight we've got the Cougs and the Duke Blue Devils, and Houston's laying 4.5. This game is in Dallas.
Yeah, this is Peachland Dental, our number one choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding.
It is our number one choice.
PeachlandDental.com. All right, so the Houston Cougars are doing what against Duke?
They're laying 4.5 in Dallas.
How many?
They're laying 4.5. I'm taking Houston. Give me Houston.
I don't know how Duke has a chance in this game, quite honestly.
Well, they shot lights out last
That's
time.
The only way, and I think they shot lights out the best they played all year long. I don't think they can beat the Houston Cougars.
Okay, and then before that game in Dallas, we have Marquette laying 6.5 to those aforementioned Wolf Pack. Kick. How about that pack? Kick. I'm taking NC State plus 6.5. Hell yeah. I'm taking NC State. I'm not a Marquette.
I'm going to just go against you. I think it could be close, but if they get in a track meet,
You
They
think they
cannot
lose?
run. They cannot run the Warriors of Marquette or whatever they're called now.
Well, they used to be under Al McGuire. Now they're the Golden Eagles because
Yeah, I like the Warriors better.
Indian tribe got pissed off or something. I don't know. I actually don't think the Indian. Actually, I don't think the Indians got pissed off. It's the weirdos that run the universities these days. All right, let's go with Gonzaga playing Purdue. This game is in Detroit, Michigan. The Zags, I think, have made 9 straight Sweet 16 appearances. They are a Sweet 16 staple. They're always in it. And they will be playing Purdue, catching 5.5. I think they'll cover that, but I think Purdue wins a close game.
I'm going to go with the Boilers. Gonzaga, to me, they didn't play great throughout the year. They got better they played better towards the end of the season,
which is all that matters.
Yeah, you're right. But I don't know. They don't impress me like a normal Gonzaga team. I think Purdue's pretty damn good. I'll take the Boilers.
It's going to be tough to stop Zach Edey, but it is a 5.5-point spread.
Well, they have guys around him that can really shoot the basketball.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. Purdue's is a legit. And then after that game at 10 o'clock or later.
That doesn't even mean it's going to start at 10. It's probably going to start about 10:25.
Right. So set your DVR. Tennessee and Creighton, very interesting game here. I think that's going to be up and down the court. I'm taking the Vols. I think defensively they will lock down Creighton, but Creighton's
really man. Creighton's another one of my teams that I love. I love
Doug McDermott,
their coach. They got dudes that can shoot the basketball.
Dude,
I'm gonna lean Tennessee here.
Well,
it would not shock me at all if Creighton wins this game.
Right, but you're taking Tennessee because in your blown up bracket, you've got Tennessee getting.
Well, I still have 3 of the 4 Final Four teams. How many do you have, JC?
I have 3. I have UConn, Houston, and these Purdue Boilers. I'm rooting for Tennessee. I'm not one of those SEC fans that hate everybody in the conference. I like except one, and that was the team that lost to these guys. But I have one rule, and that is I always root for SEC in everything except for the chokers that lost to these guys. I always root for the SEC in everything when they play other conferences. So I dislike Ohio State and Michigan a lot more than I dislike Georgia and Tennessee even. So I'm an SEC homer. I always root for SEC. I'm not one of those guys that hate everybody in the SEC, although I'm not a big fan of the guys that lost to these dudes. But I root for SEC, bro. I'm an SEC guy. Go Tennessee, go Alabama. Tennessee and Alabama for the national title.
What if is there a way that can Creighton, UConn, and Marquette all make the Final Four?
Yes. Well, Creighton. Well, I mean, UConn obviously, and Houston can't. Wait, Creighton. Who'd you say?
Creighton, Marquette, and UConn. They're all the only 3 Big East teams.
So Marquette. Yes, Marquette can win the South. Creighton can win the Midwest, and UConn, of course, can win the East in Boston. Jeez, what a tough road for the UConn Huskies this year. So they're going to play Illinois. I think those athletes really impressed me. I didn't see Illinois play like this during the year, even though they were solid and they won. They have seemed to turn it up a lot here in the.
They were like the second number 2 team in the Big Ten.
I saw them lose to Michigan State on the Big Ten Network, and I said to myself, "That's same old Illinois, right?" But they're a little bit more exciting to watch.
Like I said, you're going to lose games in basketball and baseball, JC.
Sure are. Yeah. I mean, you're right.
All right, JC. Make sure you go out to the ballpark Saturday night and watch the kid throw both right-handed and left-handed.
That is something to watch, no doubt about it. All right.
Are you going to take your cowbell to the game?
Happy Easter. I am not going to take my cowbell. I'd like to be able to walk freely through the building, but it's an Easter weekend, folks. Enjoy your time off weekend. Easter is very important, as we all know, and at least it is for people like me. And big sports weekend. We'll have a Final Four at the end of the weekend. We'll talk about it on Monday. We'll talk about the baseball, of course. There's a lot going on. The Masters is coming up soon. Oh, and by the way, Scotty Scheffler is in the running at the Houston thing. So I picked him.
Well, I mean, way to go out on a limb. Best player in the world. He's one of the best players to ever be on the PGA Tour. I mean, the best ball striker in the history of the game. So
he's great.
All right, JC, have a good
Okay.
Easter. We'll see you on Monday. That's JC.
All right.
Join us on the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out, come back, talk a little Gator sports. He'll want to talk some NCAA tournament as well. Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the Morning. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union.
Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise.
Dave & Buster's Eat, Drink, Play, Watch. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Radware is a family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. We're going to go back to the Titan MR Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp, and our man Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun is going to join us. Good morning, Kevin. How you doing, bud?
Good morning. Yeah, it was quite a night last night in the Sweet 16.
It really was. I want to read what Barone71 on YouTube says regarding the JC, talking about UConn playing in Boston. He goes, UConn can play in North Korea or on the moon this tournament, and it's not going to make any difference. They're on another level. I agree. It doesn't matter where the hell they play. Let's start with the tournament. I mean, obviously, boy, what a win for Alabama last night. Did you see that coming?
I didn't. I just kind of thought that, North Carolina's size with Baycott was going to be really tough for him. But I'll tell you what, Grant Roberts, I mean, he played a heck of a game and, was scoring all three levels. And it was interesting because, Bruce Pearl was on, and I watched a little bit of the, post-game analysis. And he talked a lot about tempo and Alabama's tempo. And I think you can kind of see it in the second half. I mean, Baycott missed a wide open dunk. Davis was struggling from 3-point range the whole game. And North Carolina, they looked a little tired. I mean, they did make a run to go back up one with under 2 minutes to go. But down the stretch, it really was Alabama that came up with all the big plays. I mean, Sears made a great play on he got a double team and he recognized it and he got it to Roberts. Roberts made a 3-point play and that put Alabama ahead for good with, basically a minute and a half left.
Yeah, it was a great game. We're looking forward to Illinois playing UConn. I have Illinois upsetting them in my bracket. I don't know if they can, but that Illinois team with Terrence Shannon Jr., he could be the best player in America.
Oh yeah, no, he was terrific. And last night he came up with a big steal down the stretch. It's kind of funny. He was missing some free throws that was allowing Iowa State to hang around a little bit. And Iowa State was down one with the ball, and he came up with a great midcourt anticipation and steal on a play. It kind of reminded me of back in the day when Chris Chioza did that against Missouri at the end of the game. The big momentum play, put him up 6. He's just a terrific athlete, and that is going to be a fun game because you're talking about two high-scoring offenses. I remember, covering Brad Underwood during my time in the Big Ten. I was not a huge fan. I thought he was a little bit of a grandstander, but the guy can flat coach. And I think it'll be, it'll be an interesting matchup. And I don't know if any Gator fans out there are rooting against UConn because of the back-to-back national championship situation. I do know that, I talked to Lee Humphrey and Torian Green about it before the start of the tournament for the Gators, and Lee said that he purposely left UConn off his bracket for the national champion, even though his head was telling so. So it was I thought that was kind of funny. And, I think for history's sake, I think a lot of fans out there wouldn't want to see UConn repeat. But I mean, they just look like they're playing on another level right now.
Speaking of UConn, I didn't realize this till I saw the other day, and I don't know how many transfers they have on their team. I know their starting point guard or shooting guard, the little white kid. He started his career at Loyola, Maryland. Then he went to Rutgers. He played at Rutgers last year. Now he's at UConn. Is he their only guy that's from the transfer portal, or do they have a bunch?
I think Cam Spencer is the main guy. I don't know how many more transfers they have, but Spencer's an interesting guy because I remember watching him in the Big Ten with Rutgers, and that kid can flat out shoot. I mean, he's terrific, and he can, he can really light it up. But Tristan Newton, I mean, they just have so many options. I mean, they're just so tough, outside, inside. They just, cling in. They just, they have so many weapons, and Hurley's the competent coach. No question, Dan Hurley. He's a guy that is going to get his team in the right spots, and they're just playing, tremendous right now.
They really are. All right, we got some Gator questions here, but before we get to those, looking at tonight's game, you see any upsets? And speaking of SEC, Creighton's a hard team to beat, very well coached. Can the Vols beat the Blue Jays?
I think that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a fascinating one. I'm looking forward to watching that. And certainly they're going to have to handle inside Kalkenberger. He's pretty good, Creighton, and for sure. I mean, I could see Gonzaga beating Purdue. I mean, can he trust Purdue? I think that's a big question for as good as Zach Edey is. The one thing I will say, though, in watching Purdue in their game against Utah State was that I do think the difference this year is the supporting cast is playing much better around Edey. Trey Kaufman-Renn, I remember he was a guy that I saw in the Indiana All-Star game a few years ago. I thought he was going to be a stud, and he's been kind of, maybe up and down and so forth, but he's playing really well right now. The point guard Braden Smith is playing really well. So it's hard to bet against Purdue, but that being said, Mark Few is a really good coach at Gonzaga. So that wouldn't 100% surprise me if Gonzaga, Purdue kind of succumbed to that pressure in Detroit.
Yeah, one of my former teammates in Chicago with the Bears, his son plays for Purdue. Roosevelt Colvin's son. I don't know what I can't remember.
Miles Colvin. Yeah. Miles Colvin was a guy that I saw in I don't know if it was an Indiana All-Star game or an event right before I left came back for Gainesville. I really like him. Great athlete, terrific athlete. And he hit some threes kind of in garbage time in that game, but he's a guy that I think he's got a really bright future, Shane. It's Matt Painter, I mean, that's his evaluations are always solid. They're always really strong.
Yeah, it doesn't help that your dad played football at Purdue either, so it's kind of a no-brainer. Text on the Titan MR text line from Roger. He says, Kevin, I see where Riley Kugel has his final 4 picks: Arizona, UConn, Kansas, and Houston. Is he sure that's not his bracket he was filling out?
Apparently, I mean, I don't know if you can verify it or not, because if this was something that, he's just throwing out there, but I mean, if they showed interest, I mean, I would be very surprised if he put that on social media and it wasn't true. I mean, look, the kid's a terrific athlete. He's a preseason All-SEC player. Is he raw? Does he need to be refined a little bit? I think this year kind of showed that, and we've discussed that in terms of his, overall skills. But I think there are a lot of coaches that would look at the athleticism of Riley Kugel and say, hey, look, well, we can really mold this guy into something. And I think Kelvin Sampson at Houston in particular, with his athleticism, and when he's, obviously we've seen when Riley is locked in and can play really good defense. Kelvin Sampson, a defensive coach, I think would could do some interesting things with him.
Is he tough enough to play for Kelvin Sampson, though? That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's got the body, I think he's physically the mental side of it, Shane. I would agree with you, and I think that would probably take an off season to kind of, work on that. But I agree. I think that would be, that'd be a big question for him. He would have to be locked in all the time to play under that kind of a coach. Not saying that, and I demanded that of him too, and it didn't work out.
Yeah. Andy asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mental Law, will the Gators be able to land Corin Johnson to replace Pullen? Did Todd recruit him when he was at San Francisco?
I don't know if Todd recruited him when he was at San Francisco, but I did see, I pulled that out, that his top 5, Florida is in there. What's also interesting is, Washington is also in there, the team that he's leaving. So I don't know, if this kid is looking for an NIL payday from his former school too. But he's, we would call it, UCLA is there. Indiana also, the Hoosiers are in there and they're looking for a point guard. Oregon. So he's looking at a few blue bloods too. So it's hard to kind of read. I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see if Walter Clayton comes back. Do you trust what Denzel Aberdeen did last year and say, hey, look, he's going to be the starting point guard, or we'll work it out with him and Clayton? Torian Green swears by him, and we've talked about Aberdeen, and I know you're high on him. I thought he really showed strides at the end of the season, and he was. I was watching him in the warm up in Indianapolis, and he's just a lot more of a confident player. And I think if he has another good offseason, that could carry over. Now, that being said, do they need another guard? Yeah, but do they need a lead guard? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe they get a guy that is more a bench guy, and you try to take advantage of the continuity of Denzel Aberdeen, being in the system for 2 years.
So when you look at the rotation that played majority of the year, you lose Pullen. Obviously, Riley Kugel's gone. Tyrese Samuel's gone. Will Richard got another year? I can't remember.
Will Richard has another year, yeah. So he'll be back.
Okay. And then you talked about Clayton Jr. coming back. I mean, when you say if he comes back, the only other option if he turns pro, I don't know if he's an NBA guy, but he could go play overseas. We know he just had a baby, blah, blah, blah. But you don't see Walter. What's that?
You're forgetting about the other option.
What's the other option? Go play somewhere else?
The other option is, with the way NIL is, a transfer portal. There was a certain former coach that was fawning over him on, in a CBS broadcast that would love to bring him back if he went into the transfer portal and, could make a significant NIL offer. I could see
St.
that.
John's?
That's a possibility. Not saying it will happen, but
right.
Riley, Walter does have a mouth to feed. I mean, the one thing is that mouth to feed is in state, obviously here. So I think if all is equal, he would rather stay here. But it could be a little bit of a bidding war. Maybe.
Well, we need to take some of Riley Kugel's money and give to him because he was clearly the best player on our team, in my opinion. All right, switching gears a little bit. You've been out to spring ball. I know y'all only get a short period of time to view the practice. In your opinion, what has stood out the most to you?
I like some of the young receivers. I like what Aiden Mizell is doing. On defense, Gerald Chapman is a guy. He's an interesting guy. He's a very intense guy. I think, working with the defensive line, you could see that there's kind of a sense of urgency and accountability in what he's doing on that side of the ball. That stood out to me. DJ throws the ball in the rope, as we know. Salesome throws a little bit from time to time. Graham Mertz looks really sharp, and a lot of the players are talking a lot about year 2 with him in this offense. how it could really take a step forward. So those are some of the overriding things. Shane, it's a little bit more of a physically mature group too, and it's starting to be a little bit of an older group with a little bit of depth. So I think that could play well next season. Of course, we'll see talent-wise also, but I think that you're starting to see on the field also some, maybe more mature bodies, and whether that plays well in the SEC will remain to be seen.
Is there any concern? Have you heard anything about, Andy Jean hasn't really practiced a whole lot. Is it still his hamstring that's bothering him?
We don't know for sure, and I don't know if anyone has asked, but he's on the sideline. Obviously, Cam Carroll hasn't recovered yet.
Right.
He's, Gavin Hill, who they moved to tight end, has been out. Keon Zipper is still not back. But we talked to Hayden Hansen yesterday, and you talk about a guy that looks bigger. It's hard to believe that, a guy like Hayden Hansen would look bigger, but more physically mature. I think he and Boardingham, as you know, took some really nice strides last year at the tight end position. And those are two guys I think that are going to kind of continue to grow and develop as well.
Yeah, I mean, tight end position to me is locked down. It's exactly who it's going to be. It's going to be Boardingham, Hayden Hansen, and then if Zipper gets healthy enough to play, those are your guys. The other guys are they're just bodies for practice. Christopher's question for you on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law. Actually, it's on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Kevin, have you heard anything on the 4-star safety from Lakeland, Keon Young, who committed to Florida, but his offer wasn't accepted?
No, I have not. That situation. He's a 2025 kid. I'm assuming.
I wouldn't know. But here's what I like to tell people. Whether a kid commits or we don't accept him, there is a long time between now and signing day for these kids to make decisions. It's just like the kid out of Mandarin that committed to the Southern Cal. I don't buy that one bit. I think he'll end up changing when it's all said and done.
Well, Shane, the interesting thing on the basketball side, this 7'6" kid, Oliver Ryu, I'm getting a lot of questions about him. And
I heard we didn't want him. Is that true?
Well, apparently, yeah. So apparently the situation was, because I didn't include him in my, season wrap up or look ahead and so forth. Well, apparently the situation is, I think the kid jumped the gun in announcing that he was committed. And I think they're looking at him more as a preferred walk-on, and they were kind of taking a wait and see approach, but he is not signed yet. But with Micah Hanlogden's injury, it'll be interesting because he is 7'6", and he would give you size. And, I know Micah really wants to come back next year, but that compound fracture injury is something that, I would think, there'd be at least a possibility of a medical redshirt next year, depending on how it heals. Now, listen, modern medicine is help, but that's going to be a long road back for him.
Yeah, they need to take that slow, especially with a guy his size, to see how it works out. But yeah, I've heard the same thing from different people about the kid down at IMG that he kind of committed on his own, and we're not sure if we really want him. So that's just what I've heard. I don't know if it's true or not. Kevin, we got a text here on the Titan our text line from George. He wanted to know your 4 winners of the games tonight.
My 4 winners of the game tonight. God, my heart says Purdue, so I'm going to go with Purdue. My heart says Tennessee, and I think Tennessee will win for sure. So that leaves us with obviously the other 2 games: NC State, Marquette. I like Marquette. I like Shaka. And I like Houston over Duke. I picked Houston to win it all. I like Kelvin Sampson. I like their toughness. They did struggle a little bit closing out that game against Texas A&M, but they found a way to win it. So I guess I'm going chalk on most of them. I could see Creighton possibly upsetting Tennessee, but that's probably that would be my one upset pick of the 4. With that, I do think Zach Edey, and it might just be Purdue's time, to get to a Final Four finally under Matt Painter.
All right, let's get this text on the Titan MR text line here before we get you out of here. Somebody's asking me, Gene's injury is a hamstring. Will we see him at all this spring? I doubt. If he hasn't participated yet, must be a pretty big deal because it bothered him last year. That's what kept him out a lot. Those hamstrings can linger if you don't take care of them correctly. Kevin, will you be going out to the baseball games this weekend?
I'm going to go tonight. I don't know if you saw they're moving Brandon Neely into the starting rotation, which is interesting. From the closer spot, and Kevin O'Sullivan is trying some different things, obviously, with the team 14-10. Although, it's kind of funny. I see the problem more as a midweek problem, right? With some of the, freshman starters and so forth. They're 4-2 in the SEC, so it's a curious move. I mean, Cade Fisher has not pitched well, but I think the question now becomes, if you move Brandon Neely in the starting rotation, who's going to close? The freshman kid who struggled as a midweek starter, McNeely, he had a save against Texas A&M, so maybe he's more suited to close. Maybe, he performs better in that situation than he does as a starter, so maybe you go in that direction, or maybe Ryan Slater. But it's going to be fascinating, and certainly the lineup has produced, and it's, you've got a lot of power up and down that lineup, Shane, but the pitching needs to be sorted out. It's really been very shaky, and a lot of really young arms that look like they're not 100% ready at this point.
Taking our text line here from Roger. He says, your thoughts on Dusty May taking over at Michigan? That's got to be hard for him being an Indiana guy, right?
Yeah, it's interesting, but going into the Big Ten, a rival school, but I think it's a good fit for him. I think it was probably a better fit for Dusty than Louisville, especially coming from his background and, even working here at Florida. Florida and Michigan, there are a lot of similarities in terms of, the Big Ten and the SEC, in terms of, both very strong academic schools, both schools that at least, purport to do things the right way. I know Michigan obviously had the cheating scandal under Harbaugh, but I do think that, fit-wise and culture-wise, it was probably, I think Dusty probably looked at Louisville and Michigan, and, you can win national championships at both places. It's been proven. But at the same time, I think he looked at Michigan as maybe a little bit more of a stable situation, as opposed to and don't forget Louisville, those fans can get a little nuts, and Michigan is obviously more of a football school in that regard, and maybe Dusty would get a little more rope and a little more time up there than he would at a place like Louisville.
Yeah. John's question for you before we get you out here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mental Law. Any word on Miles Graham? Will he be ready by fall camp?
That's what they hope. I mean, he's having back surgery. I guess he had a couple of herniated discs. So, but the hope is by August he'll be fine. And different people have told me this was kind of like a lingering issue, and that they were surprised that he actually played in the Under Armour game. But he did, and I think he really wanted to give it a go in spring practice to get ahead, and it didn't work out. I'll tell you Aaron Childs is going to be an interesting guy. Now, he didn't enroll early, but I talked to him at the Under Armour game, and Jelani Jenkins has been working with him, former, Gator linebacker. And he was the guy, top 100 national recruit also, along with Miles, and has a little speed to him at the linebacker position, which could be an asset down the road, in terms of, covering running backs and tight ends out of the backfield.
Yeah. Someone asked also, do you think Todd Golden is going to look at guys that can play better defense in the portal? I don't know if that's his philosophy.
Amaris Williams is an interesting guy because he's a guy that, he's got Florida on his radar along with a bunch of other schools, but a Drexel center who is a 3-time defensive player of the year. So it would be nice. I think you're just looking for complete players, Shane, and, if you looked at Todd's first year, I mean, they were a pretty good defensive team, obviously with Castleton, who was an elite rim protector before he went down. But obviously, didn't score, was kind of very inconsistent offensively. So what would you rather have? I mean, I think you want a complete team. You want a balanced team. And I think that's probably the charge in year 3, is to find guys that can, maybe a few more guys that can do it on both ends of the floor. But that's not easy in this day and age. And the block charge rules also, it's tilting towards offense overall, but you don't want to be giving up 100 points either. I mean, it's pretty amazing that this Florida team.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I tell people, yeah, we did give up 102, but we scored 100. So
exactly.
It wasn't like Colorado was playing any good defense either.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it's tempo too. A lot of it's how fast you play. as well. But you did give up 44%, which is, 190th in the country. I think you'd want to realistically cut that down a little bit. I think they obviously need better perimeter defenders. I think that's the main thing, guarding up the bounce, because that breaks your defense down a little bit. Block shots as a total, actually, it was even better than last year. And Alex Condon was a good shot blocker, but at times he got picked on in the post defensively as well.
Yeah. Kevin, good stuff as always, my man. Hope you have a great Easter. Appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, great holiday weekend. Same to you, Shane, you and your family.
Yep, that's Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Hope everyone has a great Good Friday and a wonderful Easter weekend, and we'll recap everything on Monday. Take care, folks.